Okay, this is one of two videos I'm doing on part-time work and the teacher's pension. This one is the easier of the two, and it's going to cover just the career average scheme. And I'm going to look at what you will get from the scheme, some common misunderstandings and concerns that I've seen from people. So if you're worried about moving to a part-time role and whether it will damage your pension, this really is for you. And then how much it costs and why the teacher's pension is better value for part-time teachers. So let's start with what you get, and it's exactly the same deal that a full-time teacher gets. 1/57th of your salary. That's as simple as it gets. Every month your career average pension has 1/57th of what you were paid that month added to your pension figure. So what does that mean? Well, let's take it down to just 1 week and look at how much you were paid each day. This part-time teacher works 3 days a week, and I'm going to say that they are paid £171 a day. To find 1/57th, we simply divide that pay by 57. You can see why I picked £171 for a day here. That gives us £3, and that is what gets added to the pension total. This happens every day. So in a week, this part-time teacher's career average pension, because they work 3 days, will have been increased by £9. Now, I did say that this is exactly the same as a full-time teacher gets, and if they work for the same daily rate, then their pension is increased by the same amount for each day they work. The difference, of course, is that they are working more days, and so that they add more to the pension. So in a week, their pension will have risen by £15. But the deal is the same. It's 1/57th of what they're paid every time they're paid it. But of course, our pay doesn't normally come to us in daily amounts. Most teachers are paid monthly, whether they're full-time, regular part-time, or irregular part-time. And the statement doesn't always break this down by months either, though the most recent parts of the statement do have the month-by-month details. This mock-up of the statement has a line for the main types of employment, and we can see this in the status PT, FT column, where there are 3 different codes being used. PTI is the code for an irregular part-time teacher. This is someone who doesn't work the same time and the same days and the same hours each week or each month. It's typically used for those working with schools as a supply teacher or a 0 hours contract where they can come in to cover random days here and there. PTR is the code for a regular part-time teacher, and this is someone who does work the same hours each week or month, the classic part-timer who does Monday, Wednesday and Friday every week. Then we have F, which stands for your full-time teacher. In this example, the teacher started in the career average scheme in April 2015, and so their pension figure was at 0 at this point. From April 2015 to August 2015, if I zoom in on this point, they did supply work and were paid a total of £12,502. We can ignore the days out part, as this is not relevant to the part-timer's career average scheme. The key figure here is how much they were paid, that £12,502. To see how much this adds to the pension, we divide that by 57, and that's £219.33. So at the end of August, their pension stands at that figure, £219 or thereabouts. So on to the next pay period, from September 2015 to March 2016. This is where they moved to a regular part-time post, and in this period they were paid a total of £16,792. Again, we can ignore the days out. They are of no importance in the career average scheme for part-time workers. They are for the final salary, but that comes in another video. We simply look at how much was paid, in this case the £16,792, and dividing that by 57 gives us how much is added to that pension figure. So another £294.60. And this will give us a pension figure of just over £500. Now, I know this video is about part-time work, but I'm sure some of you are looking at that last row in the table, the full-time position from April 2016, and looking at that part-time salary figure of 0. What is that about? Well, a full-time position pays 1/12 of the annual salary each month, and so it'd be the annual salary that can tell us how much was added in April 2016. Firstly, dividing the annual salary by 12, and then dividing that by 57 to give us how much is added. So in that month, we're just adding about £55. The most common misunderstandings about the impact on the pension of going part-time. The fear is that you damage your pension by moving to a part-time contract. People get worried that their pension is going to be cut when they go part-time. But this just isn't true. The amount you have built up does not get reduced if you move to a part-time salary. So what does happen? How is it that you do not damage that existing pension if you move to a part-time role? Now I'm going to use a rather large annual salary in this example just because it makes the maths easier. If a full-time teacher was going to earn £57,000 in a year, then their pension will have 1/57th of that added to the pension. That adds £1,000. If they were doing a 0.5 contract, that will give the teacher half the salary, and so when it is divided by 57, they add on half the amount of pension, in this case £500. The key point is that the pension you had before moving to a part-time role does not get reduced just because your salary is changing. The full-time teacher will be adding more to it because they're working twice as much as this 0.5 teacher. Both have that £514 from their previous employment. So whilst the total they will have been adding will be different, and therefore the total will be different, it's only due to how much they're adding. The £514 they had at the beginning has not been affected at all. Now, if you're going to be on the same pay scale, then working full-time is always going to give you a larger pension. Working part-time is never going to give you as much of a pension as someone working full-time, because of course you are being paid less. But this is where we find out that that means that the cost of buying the part-time pension is cheaper pound for pound than the full-time pension. The pension contributions are a tiered table. You pay a percentage of your actual annual salary. So if you focus on the table, we can see that the full-time teacher on 57,000 would pay 10.2% on their whole salary. Whereas the part-time teacher, who is only getting paid 34,000, is in a lower tier and pays only 8.6%. So the full-time teacher, for their £1,000 worth of pension, pays the scheme just over £5,800, whilst the part-time teacher, for their £600 worth of pension, pays the scheme around £2,900. The cost per £100 of pension then for the full-timer who has 1,000, we divide that by 10, and that gives us £581. The part-time teacher who has £600 worth of pension, we divide that by 6, and we find out how much it is costing them to buy £100 worth of pension. And the cost for a part-time teacher is a lot less than £500. This is why I say that part-time teachers actually get a better deal in buying the pound for pound cost is a lot cheaper because they drop into a lower tier due to the fact they're being paid less in total. So what you get 1/57th of whenever you're paid, 1/57th is added to your pot total. The common misunderstanding here is that the word average is used, and that is never actually a calculation that is made. You simply add 1/57th every time you get paid. It's impossible for the career average pension to go down just because you take a lower paid position or you take a part-time position. It just simply means you're not adding as much because you're being paid less. And the cost of the scheme is, depending on the tier you're in, somewhere between 7 and 11%. And if you're a part-time teacher, you're likely to be paying at the lower end for that and therefore getting better value for your money. I hope that's helped explain how the career average scheme works with a part-time teacher.